What if one policy shift could turn your entire life upside down? In 2025, that's exactly what's happening for thousands of people across the United States. Families who've built their lives here for years, working, studying, and contributing, are suddenly finding themselves at risk of being deported, often with little notice. This isn't just a legal issue, it's a humanitarian one, affecting parents, students, and workers from countries like Venezuela, Haiti, India, and even US allies in Africa and the Caribbean. From political decisions to broken immigration systems, the reasons behind these deportations are layered, complex, and, at times, shocking. So why are these particular countries on the chopping block? And what does this say about America's shifting stance on immigration in 2025? Stay tuned as we uncover the full list of countries facing mass deportation this year and the real reasons why. And before we dive in, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Number 1. Venezuela. The U.S. Supreme Court recently allowed the Trump administration to end the CHNV parole program, which had provided temporary legal status to over 530,000 migrants from Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, and Nicaragua. This decision has left many Venezuelans vulnerable to deportation. In March 2025, over 200 Venezuelans were deported to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act, with some being detained in facilities like the Terrorism Confinement Center without due process. Number 2. Cuba. Cuban nationals are also significantly impacted by the termination of the CHNV parole program. The end of this program has increased the risk of deportation for many Cubans who had previously been granted temporary legal status. The policy shift reflects a broader trend of tightening immigration controls affecting various nationalities. Cuba currently accepts roughly 1 deportation flight per month, with the most recent flight, which took place on February 17th, carrying 104 Cubans. The limited frequency of these flights raises concerns about the backlog of deportations and the conditions of those awaiting removal. Advocacy groups are urging for reconsideration, highlighting the potential human rights implications. Number 3. Haiti. Haitian migrants who were part of the CHNV parole program now face heightened deportation risks following the program's termination. The change in policy has raised concerns about the humanitarian implications for Haitians who had sought refuge in the U.S. advocacy groups, emphasize the need for careful consideration of the conditions in Haiti when making deportation decisions. The Department of Homeland Security announced a partial revocation of the Temporary Protected Status, TPS, for Haiti, amending the period of extension and redesignation from 18 months to 12 months, with a new end date of August 3, 2025. This decision affects thousands of Haitians who had relied on TPS for legal status and work authorization in the U.S. Humanitarian organizations warn of the dire consequences if mass deportations proceed. Number 4. Nicaragua. Nicaraguans are among those affected by the end of the CHNV parole program. The policy change has led to increased uncertainty and potential deportation for many Nicaraguan migrants who had previously been granted temporary legal status. The situation underscores the broader impact of shifting immigration policies on Central American countries. The re-registration period under the TPS designation of Nicaragua now runs through July 5, 2025. Nicaraguans who fail to re-register within this period risk losing their protected status and becoming subject to deportation. Legal challenges are underway to contest the termination of protections. Number 5. Afghanistan. The Department of Homeland Security announced the termination of temporary protected status for Afghanistan, effective July 14, 2025. This decision affects around 14,600 Afghan nationals and raises the risk of deportation to Taliban-controlled Afghanistan, where women's and girls' rights are severely restricted. Families like that of Wazir Khan Zadran, who came to the U.S. during the 2021 evacuation, are deeply concerned about returning to a country where girls are banned from education. Veterans and nonprofit groups assert that deported individuals face severe risks, including persecution and death. Some allies were denied eligibility for special immigrant visas and instead relied on TPS due to chaotic evacuation circumstances. The administration's decision has also led to legal challenges, including a lawsuit from CASA Inc., alleging procedural violations. Advocates emphasize that these individuals, including journalists, women's rights. Number 6. India. India has agreed to repatriate approximately 18,000 nationals living illegally in the U.S., following diplomatic discussions. This development affects students, workers, and families who have overstayed visas or lost legal status. The move underscores the U.S. administration's broader efforts to enforce immigration laws more stringently. Indian communities are expressing concern over the sudden shift and its implications. Since January 2025, approximately 1,080 Indians have been deported from the United States, with around 62% returning on commercial flights. The deportations have drawn criticism from the political opposition in India, highlighting the challenges faced by deported individuals upon their return. Community organizations are mobilizing to offer legal support and advocacy. Number 7. African nations. Migrants from countries like Mauritania, Senegal, Angola, and Guinea have seen increased deportation rates. The U.S. has intensified efforts to remove individuals from these nations, citing immigration violations. Advocates argue that many of these migrants fled dire conditions and deserve protection. The deportations have strained relations between the U.S. and several African governments. Reports indicate that the Trump administration is considering deporting undocumented immigrants to third countries willing to accept them, including Libya and other African nations. Such policies raise concerns about the safety and well-being of deported individuals, especially when sent to countries with unstable conditions. Human rights organizations are closely monitoring these developments. Number 8. Caribbean nations. Countries such as Jamaica, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent are witnessing a rise in deportations of their nationals from the U.S. These actions have prompted diplomatic discussions about the treatment of Caribbean migrants. The economic impact on these small nations is significant, as returning individuals often face unemployment and lack of support. Regional leaders are calling for more humane immigration policies. Alarming stories claiming that 5,000 Jamaicans had already been given final removal orders, or that more than 1 million undocumented people were on federal enforcement lists have caused concern across the region. Nations across the Caribbean have been attempting to reassure their citizens at home and in the U.S. after misinformation spread on social media channels caused widespread panic over Donald Trump's plans for trade tariffs and mass deportations. Community organizations are working to provide accurate information and support to affected individuals. Number 9. Ecuador. Between January and March 2025, the U.S. deported 1,828 Ecuadorians on 18 flights. These deportations highlight the ongoing enforcement of immigration laws and the challenges faced by Ecuadorians seeking to remain in the U.S. Ecuadorian officials have expressed concern over the sudden influx of returnees and the challenges of reintegration. Communities in the U.S. are rallying to support those affected. Number 10. The Philippines. Part of the issue stems from the recent reevaluation of humanitarian programs. Many Filipino immigrants originally entered the U.S. after natural disasters like Typhoon Haiyan. But now, U.S. officials argue that the conditions back home no longer justify extended stays. Add in rising nationalism and stricter immigration quotas, and suddenly even longtime Filipino residents are vulnerable. Families are being separated, caregivers are being pulled from hospitals and homes, and students are being told their time is up. It's a brutal reminder that even friendly diplomatic ties don't guarantee protection from immigration crackdowns, especially when domestic politics take priority. Behind each deportation is a person, a family, and a story. From economic hardship and political instability to abrupt legal reversals, the reasons behind the mass deportations in 2025 tell a deeper story about fear, power, and changing global alliances. For many, the U.S. was supposed to be a place of opportunity and safety. But now, it's a place of uncertainty, and for some, a ticking clock. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.